Hi F15 and welcome to this series of videos where I'm going to be taking you through several parts of the NEA, and this video we're going to start off with looking at the CRF. So first of all, I'm just going to show you where I'm getting this from. So I've just typed in AQA A-Level Geography into Google. I'll then go down to Assessment Resources, and on the left hand side here, to clear away anything else I don't want, I'm just going to click on NEA tasks. I've actually picked three that are the highest scoring. So first of all, there's one actually that's relatively new that I believe got 60 out of 60 on the environmental and social impacts. But I've got one other that's 60 out of 60, the one that we've seen on Tower Hamlets and Spitalfields, and then one final one which I believe got 51. So still very good. So for each NEA, I'm just going to show you box by box what they've done in their CRF. And we're going to start off with the first box, which is the link to the spec. Now, what you'll notice as we look at this is that you'll see that although it quite clearly quotes from the spec across all three of these, and here too, that each time, and I'll allow you to pause the video if you like to at this point, there is a link to the specification by, for example, naming 3133 Coastal Landscape Development or 3132 Systems and Processes, or in this example, 3237 Other Contemporary Urban Environmental Issues. But then there's the actual link to their NEA. So they don't just simply quote it and say, well, this is a link to the spec, otherwise this box would be about 3 lines long. They say this is the link to the spec and this is how in detail my NEA actually links to this. So other contemporary urban environmental issues, environmental problems in contrasting urban areas, atmospheric pollution, water pollution, dereliction. The investigation will assess how the construction of the road, which is their focus, has potentially created or alleviated environmental issues in contrasting urban areas, because I believe they go on to compare two areas within South Devon, right? In this example, it's the same. They've this time gone for one quote only. So gentrified areas, economic inequality, social segregation, and cultural diversity in contrasting urban areas. And then they've actually gone into, well, how does the ward of Spitalfields and Bangortown in London actually help me to link to the specification? And as we've already seen in this one, it also does it here too. Okay, so what's important here is that you've read the spec, but then that you've actually compared and made a link between the spec to your NEA. So do not just simply copy and paste. Okay, then we get on to the second box, arguably the most important one, which is all about your hypotheses or sub-questions. This is where, if you look at this example, the main investigation title, the environmental and social impacts of the South Devon Link Road, have then been, in this case, split into 2 sub-questions. In this case, split into 3 hypotheses. Sort of sub-questions with a to what extent element and some. And then over here we have 3 hypotheses. Okay. Now, what's important here is that they're very, very clear and they're also very measurable, right? So the gradient of the beach will increase from northwest to southeast. Very, very measurable. So you can either prove it or disprove it very, very easily, right? Too big of a question and it's too hard to do. Too small of a question and too specific, you'll find the answer within 5 minutes and then there's no point of actually investigating it, right? This one does it very, very well here as well from a human geography standpoint. The South Devon Link Road has more of a negative impact on the environment in Buckland and Milburn than in Kerswell with Coombe. Very, very measurable. Very either it gets proven or it gets disproven. And that's with, I'm sure, a combination of both quantitative and qualitative data. And same sort of thing here. Okay, then we get on to the third box. The third box and the fourth box are linked. So the third box is basically the what. What are you going to be actually investigating? And the fourth box is the how, right? So if we take this example, I'm going to be investigating noise levels and public transport accessibility. And then below it, in the fourth box, how am I going to be able to do that? Well, one of the things they're going to look at is noise pollution data, right? And this one over here, they're going to be looking at several things, including gentrification. And then they say, well, how am I going to do that? One of the methods is face-to-face questionnaires, another one is take photographs, another one is secondary data, another one is this quality decay index, etc. And this one is obviously much more straightforward because it's a physical geography example. What am I going to do? I'm going to be investigating the shape of the beach at different points and also the sediment size and shape. How am I going to do that? Well, for example, at each location, I will measure beach profiles. I will look at the length of the beach. I will look at the size and the shape of the pebbles, etc. And this is a section where you would want to definitely talk about sampling. It seems like in this one, there is a mention of it, so they talk about random sampling. In this example, they definitely do. They talk about systematic sampling. And in this example, I believe they do too. Okay, so that was just a quick look at the CRF form. Really, when you think about it, it's not that hard to construct. So if we summarize again, the first box is how does your NEA link to the specification? That is, can you quote the spec, but then also give a little bit more detail? Basically, just explain in your own words how it links to the spec. So do not just simply sort of copy and paste. The second box is what are your mini questions? So how have you broken that big question? In this example, how do the characteristics of the beach and sediment vary along Chesil Beach on the Jurassic Coast, Dorset? So 3 clear questions, sub-questions, hypotheses to break that down. Then we've got the third box, the what. What are you going to do? So what are you actually going to do in the field to be able to answer and explore your questions? And then the fourth box, finally, the how. How are you going to actually, on that day, on those days, do something that is going to help you gather the data, which is going to help you answer the question or prove or disprove your hypotheses. So that's it on the CRF of your NEA. I hope you find this one useful. We can have a look here as well very quickly at the comments made by the teachers. So I'll just let you have a read of those if you just pause the video. And these are the comments you can sort of expect from your teacher. So these have all, this one has been approved. This one, it's not clear what's been done with it. And this one has just been approved as well. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully that makes the CRF seem a little bit less scary. It is quite simple when you think about it, and also when you are clear as to what you're doing.